What is up, guys? Variks here, going over the Wolves Leash, the Prison of Elders scout rifle for the House of Wolves DLC in Destiny. Now, this weapon can be attained either by being sold directly by Variks or by buying a Judgment's Chance from Variks, which gives you a completely random item from his loot table. That's what I did, and I was awarded with this weapon. So let's start the review. Now let's go over the stats of the Wolves Leash. Now, rate of fire is the first thing that stands out. Very, very high even for a scout rifle. Impact is lessened to compensate for this massive increase in the rate of fire. Range is pretty acceptable. Stability is quite good. That's helped by this perk Perfect Balance right here. And reload is on the higher side as well. So overall, we have quite an interesting scout rifles. Not many scout rifles have this high of rate of fire. Now let's move on to the perks of the Wolves Leash. Firstly, we have 3 different sights. It is nice that they are pretty varied. We have a close, medium, and long range optic. That is pretty useful. Then it gets off to a pretty bad start. Triple tap is pretty bad. Let's not mistake this. This is just not a good perk. Adding an extra round to the magazine after like 3 precision shots, that's just not good. That's a shittier extended magazine, frankly. This perk does absolutely nothing in helping you win the gunfight at hand, and so is just pretty useless in PvE and entirely useless in PvP. Now, Snapshot is okay at best, but frankly, without Perfect Balance, you will notice a lack of stability. The increased rate of fire that is higher than most scout rifles means that this gun will be recoiling a lot because you will be pulling the trigger quite rapidly, and so Perfect Balance is quite useful there. Custom Optics increases the zoom and is simply not necessary for anything. Now lastly, we do have the best of the Fallen perks, Disciplinarian, doing more bonus damage to all fallen enemies. Alright, but still, I really wish Bungie had put it right here, right where my cursor is, in an additional perk slot, and then put a normal perk like Outlaw or something right here. This gun could have really used an extra perk, and frankly, you know, Disciplinarian, if you're not fighting Fallen in PvE, or if you're playing PvP at all, you're 1 perk down. This is really bad game design, and these epic looking, epic feeling Prison of Elders weapons are just outclassed because they're 1 less perk. What the fuck, Bungie? Now, how does the Wolves Leash perform in PvP? Well, first off, it does 29 damage for a body shot and 43 damage for a headshot. So basically, it is a very fast shooting scout rifle. You'd think, you know, the decently high rate of fire, the not too bad impact, and the high stability would make for an okay gun, and you would be right. You can have some luck with this weapon. You do got to keep some distance. It certainly doesn't match with a lot of things up close, but I got to be honest with you guys, I kind of hit a wall when I was testing this gun. I mean, we were having fun in the Crucible, you know, we were just playing Crucible because Trials was on at the same time. I didn't think that was an appropriate setting to test this weapon, and again, we just kind of hit a wall because suddenly we were versing a team, and basically the entire team was using thorns. You know, their dicks were out, they were not having, fun was not in their vocabulary, they were there to win it, and it was just kind of like another what the fuck Bungie. The Crucible is one of the most unbalanced things I've ever played in my entire life. It so clearly has guns at the top tier that are just so much better than every other gun, the Thorn being one of them. That when I was trying out new guns, when I'm doing these like review videos, I am just so unbelievably outclassed in every gunfight by the Thorn, by the Hawkmoon, that there's no point in using anything but those guns. It's frankly embarrassing, and Bungie, if you're watching, the fact that someone's getting paid to balance this multiplayer and how unbalanced it is right now, that is shameful, and you need to fucking get off your ass and fix this shit, because I'm sick of testing weapons and coming back and telling my viewers that, guys, not as good as the Thorn, what's the fucking point? Because every time that's going to be the verdict until they start really balancing this goddamn game. Every single gun is going to have that verdict, not as good as the Thorn, what's the point? Because people in multiplayer don't know what fun means, so they have their Thorns every single round and ruin it for the rest of us. Now, rant aside, the Wolves Leash, just the perk setup really doesn't help it in PvP either. Triple tap is pretty useless, and the more damage against Fallen is entirely useless. This gun would have really benefited for a full auto, even just like an automatic full auto. Put that next to the kinetic damage symbol and just have it automatically full auto. That would be a cool weapon. That would actually, I don't know, feel like an important reward for doing the Prison of Elders instead of being actually underclassed in comparison to any other weapon. Now let's move on to PvE, and there maybe the Wolves Leash can make up some ground. Well, here it is a little better. There isn't the massive competitiveness of PvP. There's no enemy shooting at you with a thorn, thank Christ. So the Wolves Leash is able to actually string together a few headshots, make somewhat of an advantage of the triple tap perk, and you do notice an increase in magazine size. You definitely shoot more than 17 rounds most often. The extra damage against Fallen is of course nice when you're actually versing the Fallen, but again, it really doesn't feel that great. It doesn't feel that useful. It should have some perks in some areas that, you know, most guns don't have, because this feels like any other scout rifle. This does not feel special in any way, and aside from how it looks, you would not know that this was a special reward for beating anything. This isn't an absolutely terrible scout rifle in PvE, however, and the increased fire rate does let you use this into medium and even close range a little bit better than some of the slow shooting scout rifles can be used. Now it should be noted that you can get the Wolves Leash, or in fact any of the other different Prison of Elders primaries that come with a random element when you beat the level 34 boss or Skolos on level 35. This will obviously make it a lot better in PvE if it spawns with a random element, but the non-elemental version, just not great. But in summary, the Wolves Leash is another disappointing Prison of Elders weapon. The perk setups don't make sense, and the final perk definitely doesn't make sense, and it's hurting it in PvE and especially in PvP, especially considering just how unbalanced PvP is at the moment. Bungie's gonna have to make some major buffs and nerfs so we can actually get some variety back into the Crucible. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Please remember to rate, comment, and subscribe if you did, and as always, have a good day.